Elections Day unfolds in Honduras as the two main contenders, the ruling right-wing Partido Nacional and the left-wing Libertad and Refundación, disputed the top post and the electoral preference. The president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, arrived in the Amazon region to attend to the affected communities after the strong earthquake of magnitude 7.5 registered in the country earlier this Sunday. Top European migration officials are holding an emergency meeting on Sunday in the French port of Calais to find ways to better fight migrant smuggling. From the headquarters of teleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your host, Gladys Quesada. Now we begin with the news. Elections Day unfolds in Honduras as the two main contenders, the ruling right-wing Partido Nacional and the left-wing Libertad y Refundación, dispute the top post and the electoral preference. The balloting stations opened as 5 million citizens attend to the polls and decide who their president and various other representatives will be following in the next years. National Electoral Council executives said some places are experiencing difficulties in the process and asked the citizens to remain calm and patient. One of the two favorites in the run, the Libertad and Refundación party, has been subject to unfounded political persecutions and ill-mannered procedures by the ruling party's officials and judiciary authorities in the last few months as days got closer to the moment of truth and popular support increased. That organization's runner-up, Xiomara Castro, faces opponent Nasri Asfura, who intends to continue the legacy of current head of state Juan Orlando Hernández. Castro, in turn, has her eyes set on reverting many of the neoliberal policies applied by the state administration and to put a stop to corrupt activities and the spiral of violence and ever-increasing social inequity in the country. In Honduras, international observers have heard of complaints from people that have not been able to vote because of the complicated registration process that took place in September.
So we're just about 3 hours out from the polls closing here in Honduras. I'm currently in the neighborhood Flor del Campo in the school Estado de Israel. Over the past couple of hours, we have been going to different polling stations to observe the process. We've heard many different complaints from the people, ranging from them not being able to vote because of the complicated registration process that took place in September, where many people were excluded from the voter registry. We've also heard of different voting polling stations allowing voters to enter with their cell phones. This permits them to take a photo of their ballot and then potentially charge different parties for their vote. So these are some of the irregularities we've observed, but overall the sensation is one that people want to participate in this process. They want their vote to be respected, and above all, they want some change in their lives. They want to change from what the last 12 years have been, and especially the last 4 years under the fraudulent election of Juan Orlando Hernández. And there's also, the polls will close at 5 p.m., and then people are anxiously awaiting what will happen afterwards. Will there be protests like there were in 2017? Will their vote be expected? That's all to be seen in the next couple of hours.
Now we continue on topic. The presidential candidate for the Liberty and Refundación political party, Xiomara Castro, asked the citizens to attend the polls and to exercise their vote in peace.
First of all, what we are saying is that it should be a civic celebration in peace and that we should all be able to go out to vote. The time has come. This is the moment and the opportunity for all Hondurans to make a change in our country, a real change. And that change is represented by this woman who is speaking to you, to tell you that we should have peace and disregard to provocations.
The presidential candidate for the Liberty and Refundación party, Xiomara Castro, reiterated her commitment to install a government of national reconciliation.
I have a very big commitment. Logically, I want to tell you that I am not the only one who has the answer. We are going to install a government of reconciliation because our society cannot continue to be divided as it has been these 2 last years. We cannot continue to live in the fear of blackmail our society is living today. We cannot continue to allow this. We need to achieve a government of national integration.
Authorities of the National Electoral Council of Honduras said that in the evening they will offer preliminary results of the general elections taking place in that country.
As a plenary of 3 members and in public session, we will go out tonight to issue the first preliminary electoral results that will be given progressively. These are the only official results to be considered. We remind the citizenship that the results of single ballot boxes or any other type of exercise does not have any official value and therefore should not generate any expectation.
Ana Paula Hel Garcia, vocal of the National Electoral Council, said that the institution has guaranteed the general elections and called on the people to accompany the process in all its stages.
As the National Electoral Council, we have already guaranteed the holding of these elections. All the electoral ballots are there at their destination and voting will soon begin. We are continuing with the delivery of kits to implement the pre-voting system, a tool that we hope will cover the country. But if this is not the case, it will not affect the integrity of the vote. The records that cannot be transmitted will be processed with all the security measures required by the National Electoral Council, and we ask for the support of citizens as best observers of the process, and of course of the national and international observation missions.
As a member of the Center for the Study of Democracy, CESPAD, Shen Rao offered his remarks about what is happening in Honduras and his role as an international observer during the election process.
So given past concerns about fraud and irregularities with the elections, today we have dispersed our international elections observers groups across Tegucigalpa, and we'll be keeping an eye out for irregularities not only in terms of infrastructure, like is there electricity in the polling stations, is there access to people for voting, but also irregularities in terms of any potential suspicious activity involving party officials who could be in the room, involving any sort of voter intimidation. We'll be keeping an eye out for this, and then we'll be reporting on these issues throughout the day.
We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. Barbados is about to cut ties with the British monarchy, but the legacy of sometimes brutal colonial past and the pandemic's impact on tourism pose major challenges for the Caribbean island as it becomes the world's newest republic. Famed for its beaches and love for cricket, Barbados will replace Queen Elizabeth II with her current representative, Governor-General Sandra Mason, as the new head of state. Ceremonies on Monday evening into Tuesday will include military parades and celebrations as Mason is inaugurated as the president, with Prince Charles also present at the event. The dawn of a new era has fueled debate among the population over Britain's centuries of influence, including more than 200 years of slavery until 1834, and the Caribbean islands finally becoming independent in 1966.
As we look around, let us enjoy the beauty. As we move, let us bring our children here to learn. And as we build, let us remember that this too will be a living piece of art and space for those working, living, reflecting, playing in Bridgetown. And let us remember always that this is a community. From London Bourne to Pondside to Nelson Street to Spruce Street to Wellington Street, it is a community of residents and Bajans. And let us make sure that that community can live in harmony with this wonderful public space. May we bless this park, and may it always remind us of the importance of seeing people, hearing people, and caring about people. God bless our fair land. Thank you.
Now we address other topics. The president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, arrived in the Amazon region to attend to the affected communities after the strong earthquake of magnitude 7.5 registered in the country earlier this Sunday. The head of state took to Twitter to express his solidarity with the affected citizens. This after a meeting with the National Emergency Operations Center, ZEON, to assess the monitoring and evaluate the situation in which the areas where the damages were recorded. The president also informed that he ordered the ministries and the different government agencies to conduct immediate actions to attend to the emergency. The 7.5 magnitude earthquake was registered in the Amazonas region, with aftershocks that were felt in the capital Lima and other cities of the country, as well as in Ecuador and Colombia. We now provide you with more details on the matter. A strong earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 7.5 has struck northern Peru, the U.S. Geological Service said on Sunday. The earthquake took place at 5:52 a.m. Sunday local time. The epicenter was 42 kilometers northwest of the coastal city of Barranca. Video and photos posted online show the historic tower, part of a 16th century complex believed to be the oldest Catholic temple in the Amazonas region, reduced to a pile of stones. There were no immediate reports of casualties. Inhabitants of the Ecuadorian provinces of Guaya, El Oro, and Loja also reported damage to buildings as a result of the aftershocks of the earthquake in Peru, but no casualties were reported. Peruvian authorities have instructed the National Risk and Emergency Management Service to monitor the events and to assess the damages. Several thousand people gathered in central Belgrade on Sunday to protest the high levels of pollution in Serbia. The latest demonstrations follow a day after extreme strikes erupted between police, environmental groups, and anti-government demonstrators. Sunday's protest, named for Safe Breathing Air, was organized by EcoWatch, an environmental group. The protesters are aiming to change government policies on problems related to the natural environment. Serbia is one of the most polluted states in Europe, but public protests have gained attention only recently, with activists accusing the authorities of allowing foreign investors to cause further damage to the environment.
The third protest for 3 winters we are actually organizing through social network to gather, to gather many people that can actually make a critical mass so we can push the institutions in Serbia to make a change.
The eruption of the Cumbre Vieja volcano on La Palma, which is part of the Canary Islands in Spain, continued as it keeps sweeping lava, ash and gases over 2 months after it began eruption. A new lava flow has appeared at the rear flank of the volcano. The new lava stream was detected at approximately 3 a.m. local time on Sunday morning and is moving in a northeasterly direction. This latest development is concerning for authorities as it could consume more land and destroy more residential areas if it keeps advancing. Although the volcano has seen decreased activity, the smoke and lava continues to spew from its cone, as scientists have said it could last up to 3 months. La Palma has been shaken by earthquakes every few minutes. The latest one is recorded to have a magnitude of 3.3 on the Richter scale. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Guadalajara International Book Fair in Mexico, considered one of the world's most important, returned to its in-person mode. The most important publishing event in Ibero-America gathered hundreds of writers, editors, and literary agents from the region and the world. From Uruguay to Mexico, Argentina to Ecuador, women writers from across Latin America are enjoying growing acclaim after years of marginalization by an industry that has long favored male authors. Common themes explored by Latin American women writers include violence, fear, and victimhood, as well as terror, supernatural or otherwise. Despite celebrating the book fair in a different mode this way, attendees are complying with biosecurity measures to prevent COVID-19 contagion.
Our message is we are back. All we are saying is that after 2 very complicated years, because not only was it last year, it still is, we return with all the limitations of the case, but we are back here.
Top European migration officials are holding an emergency meeting on Sunday in the French port of Calais to find ways to better fight migrant smuggling. The meeting comes after 27 people died trying to cross the English Channel to Britain in an overcrowded inflatable boat. UK officials will be notably absent from the gathering at the Calais City Hall after Wednesday's sinking, the deadliest of its kind, prompted a new political crisis between Britain and France. It was decided that from December 1st, a plane operated by the EU border agency Frontex will help the countries to monitor their shores. Aid groups, meanwhile, are arguing that more humane, coordinated asylum policies instead of just more police. At makeshift camps along the French coast, clusters of people from Sudan, Iran, and Iraq huddle under the chilly rain, waiting for their chance to cross the channel.
We choose not to invite the British minister here to Calais. We work in Europe with the committee, we show our solidarity, but we want to work with our British friends and allies. First of all, because geography forces us to do so, because the border with Great Britain is a day-to-day border, because there is a sea 30 kilometers from the French and European coast. We have a tunnel, we have very important economic, political and cultural exchanges. The British are our allies, Europe's allies and France's allies, of course, and we must work with them. This meeting was not anti-English, it was pro-European.
European Union and NATO leaders meet in Lithuania to assess the migrant crisis in Belarus and Russia's military presence near Ukraine. The meeting comes ahead of a session of NATO foreign ministers to be held this week in Latvia with the presence of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg and the head of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen once again accused Belarus of organizing the migration crisis on its border as a hybrid threat against the EU with no solid evidence and expressed concern about the alleged Russian military deployment near the Ukrainian border. Moscow recently warned NATO and United States troops moving closer to Russian borders using the military maneuvers in Estonia as an excuse.
For months now, Lithuania has been facing a deliberate, cynical and dangerous hybrid attack, an attack organized by the Lukashenko regime. It is putting at risk the life of innocent civilians lured to the Belarus border under false promises.
We stand ready to defend all allies, and we will continue to provide our partner Ukraine with political and practical support.
We move on to other topics. The drums of San Juan, a traditional practice in different states of Venezuela, is one step away from being declared cultural and intangible world heritage. Our correspondent, Adrián Vieira, traveled to the coast to learn about this tradition. The details in the following report.
Between the mountains and the Caribbean Sea is Todasana, a fishing community located 3 hours from Caracas, a land of peacefulness, of Afro-descendants resistance, a land of drums. One drum beats, the other one marks the rhythm, and the third one plays the bass. They play for San Juan, a 17th century tradition, a culture that goes through the years.
I come from one generation and I'm teaching the other generation how to play the drum. Practically my whole family on my mother's side plays and I like to play.
San Juan, San Juancito, San Juan es tu día. San Juan Maricongo, San Juan toda sana.
Prevented from experiencing their culture by the Spanish colonizers, those who were kidnapped in Africa and forced into slavery in America use the devotion to the Catholic saint as an opportunity to practice their beliefs.
Freedom and San Juan are the ones who help us to have that spirituality, that peace, the harvest and harmony.
Lorenza Hueto, 65 years old, is a guardian of the drumming tradition. She dedicated part of her life to walk 4 kilometers to teach in rural areas, and today she is in charge of keeping the batuque alive. The community of Talasana and 150 other villages in Venezuela are candidates to be declared UNESCO's cultural and intangible heritage through the festivities surrounding the cult and tradition of San Juan Bautista.
We recognize it as our heritage, but the fact that it is now World Heritage is something that is a matter of pride and joy for all of us.
After going through 2 stages, the final declaration by UNESCO will be announced in December. If the candidacy is approved, the drums of San Juan will be the 8th cultural and intangible heritage of Venezuela.
Let's make the drums of San Juan sound when the celebration of San Juan Bautista Day is held on the 23rd and 24th. But also in December we're going to beat the drums together with the melodies of the Christmas season. The drums are going to resound, I say, that they are going to be heard in the whole Venezuelan coast.
From the Caribbean coast, they make a call to the world.
I want to make an invitation to all the people of Venezuela, to all visitors who come to know our authentic tradition, our ancestral tradition, and the legacy left to us by our ancestors.
Culture resists, advances, and multiplies. No one can silence the sound of the drums, beating for the freedom of a people.
Desde el estado La Guaira, André Vieira y Jesús Romero, teleSUR, Venezuela.
Thank you, Andrea, for this report. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.